Okay, so now what we're going to do is actually combine the two things we've already talked about. We've already talked about multiplying and we've talked about simplifying. So this is just a combination of those two things. Okay, so my roots are the same. See, these are both cube roots, so I am allowed to multiply. So just multiply what you have underneath. So you're going to start by doing the 50 times the 15, which is going to give us 750. And then x squared. And then I've got a y cubed. Now, I've got z's under both radicals, so you just multiply those together. But remember, when you're multiplying variables, you add your exponents. So that means that I would have z to the 6th. Now, at this point, you're going to do exactly the same thing that I've just finished doing as far as like breaking it apart. Okay, so like what can I take the cube root of? All right, so look at your list of perfect cubes, and we've got to find what on that list will go into 750, and I do believe it's going to be 125. So 750 divided by 125, yes, it'll go 6 times. So we're going to rewrite the 750 as 125 times 6, okay? Now, there's not going to be anything that we can do with the x squared, because remember, if we're looking at cubes, a third power is the first thing on the list. So if it's a second power or a first power, remember that you can't break it down, you just leave it like it is. All right, next I have y to the third. Well, see, that's already on your list. That's a perfect cube. So don't break it down if it's already a perfect cube. And then I've got a 6th power. Well, a 6th power is already on my list, so we're not going to break that down either. Okay, so if it's already perfect, don't break it down. So 125 is perfect, y to the third is perfect, z to the 6th is perfect. So cube root of 125 is 5. Okay, so here 3 will go into 3 one time, so that means I have y to the first out front. And then 3 will go into 6 2 times, so that means that I have z to the second out front. So the 6 is left underneath, x to the second is left underneath. So there's your answer to that one. Of course, you wouldn't have to write the first power here, that's understood. And when you're having to write your little index here, make sure that you're clearly writing it like in this little v part of your radicals, just so it doesn't start looking like an exponent. Okay, so next one. So start by just multiplying what you have underneath. So we're going to do the 12 times the 3. So that's going to give me 36. And then I'm going to have an x squared times x to the first. So that's going to give me x to the third. And then I have a y to the first times y to the fourth. So that's going to give me y to the fifth. All right, so now let's look at what we've got to simplify. Now, this time, this is a square root. Remember, what I've got right here is an understood 2. So you're going to look at your list of perfect squares. Well, you've got a 36, and it's already a perfect square. So we're going to leave it like it is. All right, x to the third. So x to the third would be here, between these two. So you're going to have to rewrite it using the one that's just below it. So you'll have to rewrite it using x to the second, which means you'll also have to use x to the first. Okay, then next we have a 5th power. So variable to the 5th power would fall here. So I use the one that's just below it, which is the 4th power. So I would have y to the 4th. And then I would have to go with y to the first, again, to keep my total of 5. So the 36 is a perfect square, x squared is a perfect square, y to the 4th is a perfect square. So square root of 36 is 6. Now remember, you got an understood 2 right here. So 2 will go into 2 one time. 2 will go into 4 2 times. And then you're left with the x and the y underneath. So that would be your final answer there. Okay. One more that's multiplying. And the difference that you're going to have here is the fact that we've got these numbers in the front. So that's really the main point of this example, so you'll know what to do with numbers that you have in front. So go ahead and multiply first of all. So when you have numbers in front, you're going to multiply those. So that's going to give us a 14. And then we're going to multiply what we have underneath. So the 3 times the 6 is going to give me 18. And then I've got y to the third. I'm sorry, x to the third. But then I also will have y to the third when I multiply these two together. Okay, so let's work on breaking this down. So this time you're going to look at your perfect squares. 18 is not a perfect square, but what you do have on this list that is a perfect square that'll go into 18 is the 9. So that will go 2 times, 9 times 2. Now, both of these are third power, so you're actually going to break those down the same way. Of course, your third power is here, so you use the one that's just below it, which is going to be a second power. So you'll have to do x to the second times x to the first. Remember to keep your total of 3, and then you'll have to do the same thing with the y. Okay. Now, what you have that are perfect squares, that's those 3. Now, the square root of 9 is 3. So, you know, we've been always bringing that out front. When you already have a number out front, you do square root of 9 and you get the 3, it is to be multiplied times anything that's already out front. So we're going to end up doing the 14 times the 3, okay? And I'll just do that multiplication in another step. Okay, so we've got an understood 2 here. So 2 will go into 2 one time. So that means we'll have x to the first. And then same thing here, 2 will go into 2 one time, so we'll have y to the first. So this 2 is still left underneath, this x, and this y. So my final answer, like I said, go ahead now and do the 14 times the 3. So that's going to give us 42. So I have 42 xy square root of 2xy.